Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is the Unstoppable Podcast Show, and I am Jennifer Hardy. And today I am joined by the awesome Maggie Giele. Hi, Maggie, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, wonderful. So amazing to have you on. And I know that you are an awesome, incredible, award-winning business and marketing strategist. So we are going to rock this today, I'm sure. So tell me a little bit, Maggie, about your beginnings. Where were you brought up? Where were you born? Were you always, as a kid, this kind of entrepreneurial spirit, or what kind of things did you love?
Such a good question. I always knew I wanted to have my own business one day, probably because I don't deal with authority very well and I like being stubborn and doing my own thing.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are like that. Like we're strongly opinionated and just want to do our own thing. But I thought it was going to happen much later in life than it actually has. In terms of background, I'm originally Czech, so I was born in Prague in the Czech Republic, but we left when I was 3, moved to the US. And then we moved to Singapore for what was initially supposed to be for 3 years. We stayed for 13.
Wow.
Yeah, it was, and I went through the local school system, so I was the only non-Asian in in my entire high school, for example. So that was definitely an interesting experience. It was a very competitive society. So when I was at university, I was doing a bachelor's in business administration. I was like studying 90 to 100 hours a week. So 6 hours of sleep, study and repeat. And when I was 21, halfway through my degree, I thought I can't do this anymore. My anxiety was starting to get worse. I was starting to develop OCD, which I think was because of the amount of pressure that we were under there. And I wrote a letter, and I don't even ask me why I decided that the Netherlands seemed like a good idea. I was like, the UK is too expensive. I don't want to go to the Czech Republic because my English is better than my Czech. It's just not for me anymore. The Netherlands, like they speak English, great, let me do that. And I wrote an email to every single university in the Netherlands that had an English-speaking business degree program.
Wow.
And one of them said yes, and I transferred.
Oh my goodness.
That was 8-9 years ago. It was fairly unexpected. It was a very big life change. It was a huge culture shock coming from having been brought up in Southeast Asia, coming to Amsterdam. Oh my God, that was such a crazy culture shock.
And so did you do it on your own as well? Did you have anyone with you when you were transferring, or?
I did actually, so that was really cool. I ended up moving with my mom and my little sister from Singapore to Amsterdam because my parents were actually getting a divorce around that time. My mom was at a point where she wasn't sure what she was going to do. She hadn't lived in Czech Republic for like 20 years, so there was also nothing for her there. And I literally looked up jobs that she could take on because she was an assistant at a big company in Singapore. I sat down with her like in a Starbucks after her work the day after she found out like that they were separating. And I said, my transfer is clear. Here's a bunch of jobs you can literally start applying for now in Amsterdam. Here's the school like my sister could go to. We can do this. And yeah.
Wow, that is just an amazing story. So your mom and your sister, they're now completely settled there with you still to this day?
Absolutely. My mom just bought a house in The Hague. My sister is fluent in Dutch. She's doing her master's in finance in Rotterdam, and I'm living near Amsterdam, so we see each other pretty often as well.
The universe has got incredible ways sometimes, hasn't it, of changing and up-leveling people's lives.
Yeah, it's crazy because in between that, I've also lived in Germany and Frankfurt for 4 years, and that's actually where I started my business.
Oh my goodness, incredible. I'm so excited to learn about your business now as well, because I know that obviously you are a business marketing strategist, but also you are the founder of Bosses in Europe, which just sounds awesome. Can you talk to me a little bit more about that as well?
Absolutely. So I started my business in Frankfurt in Germany, and I couldn't find any entrepreneurial friends, basically. I was like working and living 100% online. My life was business Facebook groups. And it was incredibly lonely. And this is also why I'm such an advocate now for building relationships as part of your business growth strategy. It's fulfilling on a personal level, but also the referrals, the opportunities, and the learning you can do from building relationships is absolutely, like ridiculous. I can't even explain like how powerful that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when I moved back to Amsterdam, I said, okay, there is a gap here. We see a lot, I'm in a lot of Facebook groups for female entrepreneurs or for entrepreneurs in general, but they're very US centric. Yeah. In Europe, there are cultural differences in how we approach things. It's a little bit more down to earth. We don't really like hard sales here. We don't like the big, long form sales, pushy sales pages. Yeah. It's a bit of a different vibe. I mean, you live in Scotland, like, I think you get it. You get it there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I think more than anything else, what I find in the UK especially is that people want strategy and structures. And although spirituality is something that I do believe in, it doesn't really come across in my marketing or my sales message, because people see that, and I don't know if this is just for the UK or it's across the board in Europe, but people can see that as quite fluffy and somewhat unbelievable. And well, what's manifestation got to do with actually making money? Or so whether I believe that or not, I don't really speak about it as much. Are you the same? Are you very kind of focused on results based, strategy, structure, methods? Are you
I'm very much focused on that, but that's also my background. I've got a master's of science in marketing strategy. I've got a background in business. So when I started in this online business industry, I was very shocked by people talking about visualizations. Like I was like, I do not know what this stuff means.
Yeah.
So now I have a better understanding. I do some things of that as well, but I'm very, very lightly in woo. Yeah. I'd say 90% of what I do is really results based. But a lot of the time, and it comes back to communicating your value and what you do. People come to me and they say, hey, I need help with my marketing. Or I want to get more visible. I want more Instagram followers, things like that. But at the end of the day, what they actually need, and they don't know, is that they need a stronger strategy. Yeah, they need to understand their ideal clients better. They need to do market research. They need to have a clear vision and goals. Stuff that doesn't sound like a lot of fun, but those are the core foundations that you need in your business to get to those, having more clients or higher end clients or more sales.
Definitely. Isn't it funny? And you must get this all the time because of the kind of stuff that you teach and coach on. If people come into you saying, I need like massive amount of followers on my Instagram page before I'm even going to launch this. Yeah, that's fine, but that's aesthetics. It doesn't mean that those people are going to buy from you. You can have 10,000 people on an Instagram page and not sell one thing.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's wonderful the way that you are coming from it. And it's like, you know what? This may sound boring, but these are the foundations. And if you get that right, then you could have a page with 100 people on it, but sell to every single one of them. Is that kind of the way that you think as well?
It is. So I think it really depends on what your goals are. If you're looking to sell like lower end digital products, then it's definitely going to be a numbers game. I have never put too much attention or effort into building big numbers on my email list. Yeah. I do put attention to building relationships. That's something I'm like I said, a huge advocate for that. I do what feels natural, what feels intuitive, but what's also strategic in my bigger picture vision. And, I don't have a huge email list. I don't have a huge Instagram following, but I've been fairly well booked out for the last, 2 years or so, because of how I've strategically built my business.
Fantastic. Excellent. Love hearing that. Tell me, when it comes to the founder, you being the founder of Bosses in Europe, I take it, is that somewhere where people can actually come? Do you put on events, or how does it work? Or is it an online community?
It's both. So it is an online community. It's a Facebook group. It's for people, entrepreneurs, creatives in the UK and in Europe. With Brexit, I'm getting people like, hey, I'm in the UK, but can I please join you? I'm like, yes, that's UK, Europe. It's all good. So it's a very, very close-knit online community. We actually just hit 500 yesterday as of this recording. And that's been really cool because it's been with almost zero promotion. It's been with members inviting their friends and their business peers to the group. So the engagement is sky high. And with Bosses in Europe, I also run mini retreats.
Wonderful. Excellent. And are they over where you are? Or do you travel further afield with your retreats too?
I do travel. So our first meetup was actually in London. We had 22 people come at fairly last minute. Like someone flew in from Dublin just for the day to attend. People like got up at 5 a.m. to come in from Cardiff. And that made me realize like there is such a gap here for us in Europe, but we don't have that many deeper events to go to. There are not many retreats that are run here in Europe that aren't, you know, in the super premium space.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't cost like an arm and a leg to get to, because you know what it's like when you're starting your business. You don't have thousands of pounds to be able to travel to the States or whatever to get the collaboration and connection that you need. And like you said, and you mentioned this, it can be lonely being on your own all the time when you're just constantly online. So being able to meet in person, and if there's ever another London one or even any one that's coming up within Europe, please let me know, because I know there's so many people within my community that would love to go. And of course I would love to come as well, so please let us know the next time you've got one. Have you got one coming up soon? Have you got anything planned?
I do actually. I don't know how that's going to work with the podcast recording, but there's one on the there's one on the 28th of August, and that's going to be near Frankfurt, Germany, which is a massive international airport. So there's like 1 million flights from all across Europe. They're super cheap to get there.
28th of August 2018. If you are listening to this anytime after that, you're going to have to go over to, I can imagine that on your website you'll have them listed as well, yeah?
Yes, it's maggiegiele.com/events. This is the third mini retreat I'm holding. It is going to be the last one for a while because I'm launching a mastermind. So the next retreats are going to be for the mastermind, but there need to be more creative events for entrepreneurs in Europe. I started these events because I wanted to fill this gap, but it still doesn't solve my problem that I want to go for more events. So please, if you're listening and you're in Europe, UK, create these events so I can come to.
Yes, 100%. Do it if you're out there listening. Okay, so I would love to ask you as well, Maggie, there is lots of coaches in the space, or it looks as if there is. Actually, what happens, just to let people know, if you're out there and you've started doing anything to do with coaching and you've been searching and you've been looking online at different coaches, you're going to see a hell of a lot more. And the reason why is Facebook are tracking everything that you do and showing you more people. So sometimes it feels as if there's hundreds and thousands and loads of coaches all over the world, but you're just getting to see them much more frequently. So that is something to watch out for. The market is definitely not saturated, but what is interesting is the way that people work, in my opinion. And I would love to know, Maggie, from you, what makes your style of coaching different from the others out there?
That's an interesting question. So I think, first of all, because I have a qualification in strategy, I've got a Master's of Science in Marketing Strategy. That's not something many people in this industry have, that they have like a background in theory and research of what actually works, what doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm also actually in a training program right now to become a trained coach as well. So that's been it's something I want to do for a few years now, because I know I'm very good at the strategy and action-oriented stuff, but there's so much mindset work that comes with building a business. Absolutely. The fear before doing a launch, or the fear of raising up your prices, or I don't want to pitch a podcast, what if, like the fear of rejection. So I'm getting trained as a coach as well to be able to help my clients with these mindset blocks and shifts too.
Amazing.
But I have a framework I call Slay Your Strategy that I've been refining for essentially 4.5 years. So with every single client I get, I make like an improvement. I try to make one improvement with every client that goes through that framework. And that's, I think, is something that sets me apart, that it's not just random conversations to make you feel better, but we're actually working on putting together these puzzle pieces that are going to help you get your business to where you want it to be. Absolutely.
And also, like you said about the mindset thing, you know, there's a lot of people that forget that, in my opinion, it's around about 90% mindset and 10%, you know, the strategy stuff, because you can learn that, but mindset is something you really need to work on for yourself, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So the fact that you're now doing that as well as all the other stuff, I mean, that's just incredible.
Thank you. It's, you know, it's funny because I think it's because I come from this very, you know, action and results oriented background that I never believed that mindset was a thing. Like I couldn't really understand what everyone was talking about with mindset blocks. And only as I was working more and more with more clients and doing bigger things, I realized, nope, it's a thing and everyone needs to work on it. There are some people who are like, they don't need that and they're super productive on their own and they're putting things out there. Yeah. But I think there's so much of just confidence that comes with up-leveling and building a business that you do need support and you do need to work on as well.
Yeah, definitely. Having support is a complete game changer. It has definitely been for me in my journey as well. So yeah, excellent. So tell me, obviously there's lots of entrepreneurs and women out there either coming onto the online space or actually just starting a business from scratch at the moment. What advice, or what would just one piece of advice be that you would give a new entrepreneur at this moment?
I would love for everyone to do market research.
Yes.
To actually speak to their ideal clients, because so I actually had a burnout about 1.5 years into building my business, because I came straight from my degree and freelancing to doing consulting work or strategy work. And I didn't really believe that I was good enough to kind of teach what I knew. I felt like I had to follow what everyone else was telling me to do. So I started doing, these ideal client avatar exercises, and they never, ever worked for me. I would spend hours doing them. And at the end of the day, I was like, okay, my ideal client is Amy. She's 27. She drinks green tea and she does sun salutations to start her day. How is this information helpful to building my business?
Okay.
So I never got that. And when after my burnout, I realized, okay, I desperately want this business thing to be a success for me. What do I know works? Like, what did I study? And one of the things that we kept doing in my degree was market research, looking at data, looking at facts. Yeah. So I said, that's what I'm going to do. And I went out, I kind of outlined who do I think my ideal clients are based on real people I knew. So I did research in Facebook groups. I was really searching what people were saying. And then I went out and I asked these people, can I please have a call with you? I'd love to ask you more questions about, your business goals, your challenges, just to get to, I literally call this get inside their heads.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was such a transformational point for my business, because I had been looking at my work all wrong. From the totally wrong perspective, because I'm a strategist, and I'm sure anyone listening, this applies to any kind of work that you do, if you're a designer, copywriter, whatever. I assumed that everyone knows they need strategy. Yeah. To me, it was just, I didn't even think about it. It was so clear, of course you need strategy. So the headlines I would use would be, does your business have a digital strategy? The answer is, no one cares.
Yeah.
No one cares about that statement. People don't care if they have a digital strategy. They care if they can pay their bills next month. They care if they have enough clients to go on that fancy holiday. They care if they can make enough revenue this year to be able to retire their partner next year.
Yeah, definitely. The tangible results.
Absolutely. So that was such a huge shift of perspective that was very difficult for me to do. But I had to shift how I even talked about my business to be able to connect with my ideal clients. And a couple months later, I was booked out for the first time.
Incredible. Amazing. And I know that you actually have something to gift anyone that's listening today, don't you? Which is around that very thing. Can you explain a little bit more about what your free gift is for people?
Yes. So this is actually a workbook I developed after I did several rounds of market research interviews myself. And I was like, oh my gosh, more people need to do this. I don't care if you ever never hire me or work with me. That's totally fine. It's up to you. But please do interviews. Please do this kind of research. So I have this workbook that you can grab. It's literally my entire process on how to find people, how to figure out who to speak to, what questions to ask, what tech you need, literally everything. It's actually been recently updated as well. So you can grab that for free.
Oh, that is incredible. That is so incredibly helpful for everyone out there. So if you want to get your hands on that, obviously we'll have a link at the bottom of Podbean. And of course, again, can you give us your website just again in case anyone misses that link, please? That would be awesome.
Absolutely. It's maggiegiele.com.
Wonderful. And just to be clear, we spell Giele because it's such a beautiful name, but we spell it Giele. Is that right?
Yes.
Wicked. Okay, excellent. So one thing to finish on is I would love to ask you, what can someone do to have a better strategy when it comes to their business? And obviously one of the things is, of course, get to know this ideal client, do your research. After that, what kind of things could they be putting in place strategy-wise to make sure that they are really making an impact with their business?
So I love this question because I get it 2 to 3 times a week, everywhere, Facebook, Instagram stories, by email from clients. And at the end of the day, I think we get really caught up in details. Like what, I don't know, email marketing software should I use? Or what's the best, I don't know, Canva template for my Instagram posts? And again, at the end of the day, very harshly, people don't care that much. And it doesn't really matter. What does matter is what fits best for you. So as an example, I spend a lot of time, money, energy planning and running these mini retreats in Europe.
Yeah.
That was a very intentional part of my strategy because I could have spent the same amount of money, energy, and time to, for example, create and sell an e-course.
Of course.
But I chose not to because I really value intimate relationships with my audience and with my clients. That's something, the one-on-one or the small group setting is somewhere where I really thrive in. I love that kind of energy, that kind of atmosphere. And at a time where people like mentors and other people were telling me, oh, you should just create a course so you can make more money. I mean, I could have, but I chose not to. I chose something that was a bit more long-term, but that fits so much better with my long-term vision and what really fits well for me. And I think especially newer entrepreneurs, and at least that's how I felt, I didn't have the confidence to decide what I actually want to do. So I was trying to follow all these marketing gurus and like, oh, so-and-so sells e-courses. Therefore, if I sell e-courses, I will be as successful as they are.
Yeah, yeah. It's so easy to get pulled along that, isn't it? Like, oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. And, I actually did exactly the same thing. I thought, well, I need to create a self-study course.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, what I did was adapted one of my one-to-one courses, and that was fine. And I did some videos and things like that. And then I put it out there and I literally pulled it back off like an hour later. And I was like, this is not me.
Yeah.
I need someone to come and pick up one of my courses and run with it.
No.
I don't know what the result's going to be. I've got no idea, if they're going to have success with it. So just like you, Maggie, I decided that the thing that I was going to do next was the book, obviously, which we've been speaking about over the last few months. If you're part of the Unstoppable Mastermind, we're in July 2018 now, obviously, and this was the whole premise of that was I want people to have experiences. I want them to have adventure. I want growth. But I want to be part of that with them and really, really hands-on. I don't want self-study. Yeah, I felt as if I had to create it because everyone else was doing it.
I had the exact same process and I felt so stuck. I think I was trying to work in that course for like 3-4 months and I was getting really miserable in my business because something just wasn't right. And strategically, like the course would be a good idea, but I have the exact same thing. Like I'm launching a mastermind for that reason. I'm doing events for that reason.
Yeah.
And I'm not, doing too much with my numbers. But I guess as a last tip for anyone who does feel more that way, then getting started on YouTube as soon as possible, even if it's just a couple of videos, I cannot recommend that enough as a way of building relationships in your business.
Wonderful. Excellent. Listen, Maggie, it's been amazing to have you on. So much great value, so many fantastic tips. Where else can we find you apart from your website?
I am on YouTube as Maggie Giele and on Instagram. If you like dogs and fantasy, you'll probably like my Instagram because it's full of Harry Potter and pictures of my dog, Frodo.
Wonderful. Well, I'll be there. I'll be joining you for sure. I've got a dog as well. Bruce Springsteen, his name is.
Oh, I love it.
But there's actually not too many photos of him, so I need to take a leaf out of your book and get more of him up there because everyone loves dogs. Everyone. It was funny actually. I seen a post the other day and it says, what do I love most about people? And it said, they're dogs. And I was like, oh, that is funny. It's really funny. Maggie, one last thing. If you are listening out there, I'm just going to ask Maggie this last question and hopefully you can take it away with you today. What, Maggie, would you say to people that are procrastinating over getting their stuff out there in the world? What would you say to someone that was sitting waiting for it to all be perfect? Because I know from experience that I certainly didn't procrastinate and nor did I make it perfect before I launched it to the world. So what would you say, Maggie, to those people?
So I've been the exact opposite to you. I have procrastinated so much. Perfectionism is for me like an ongoing daily battle. At one point, I had 55 unpublished blog posts that have never seen the light of day.
Wow.
I procrastinate at an epic level. So figure out what's going to help you get over that procrastination. For me, it was getting external accountability. Like now I am in masterminds, I am in group programs, I have a coach, I have a mentor, I have people on I literally hired, one of the reasons I hired a VA before I really needed one was to have the external deadline of, she needs my blog post to be finished by so-and-so date, otherwise we can't make the schedule.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
accountability or whatever else you need. So check out Gretchen Rubin's 4 Tendencies quiz. That kind of helped me get started on that track of, okay, what do I need to just get off my butt and get this stuff out there.
Amazing. Excellent. Hopefully it's now actually seeing the light of day, yeah?
Yes, it has. And one of the mantras that has helped so much has been the 3 T's. Test it, tweak it, and try again. That's exactly how I run my retreats. That's exactly how I've basically done everything in my business for the last 2 years. Test it, tweak it, and try again.
Fantastic. Excellent. What an amazing note to end on today, Maggie. Thank you so much. So I will say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all you listeners. Thank you so much for being a part of this unstoppable movement. You know the caliber and the kind of women we have on this. They're just so incredibly inspiring. But I think what's important to note that if we can do it, so can you. So thank you again for listening, and I hope you really enjoy this episode, and make sure to follow. Check out the link below, grab your goodies, and come and get involved more with what we are doing. Take care, everyone, and we'll speak real soon.